I'm TC Silk. I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm a rapper producer. I like do a little digital media and stuff too. But yeah, I'm from just a rapper and musician from West Palm Beach, and I'm like representing for Respect the Vibe. So I'm glad to be here. Yeah, growing up down here is interesting just because you're exposed to a lot of different kinds of people. Like, you know, I went to school and it was a magnet school, and there are people, you know, of all classes and races going to this school, and it was just interesting to see kind of like how we all merge together in Florida that way. Like it's kind of like I was exposed to people who like grew up on Palm Beach Island, and like you go to like their house, you go to parties with them, and it's a completely different crowd of people. But then like, you know, you go to like your friend's house in like Lake Worth, like Boynton, out west, and it's just like we're all going to the same parties and same events and like influencing each other, but still like keeping it real and like knowing that each side exists. So I think growing up down here, like you're just kind of not so one-dimensional in that way. Like you kind of know what kind of possibilities exist for you, and like, you know, I'm not gonna be satisfied by simple shit. Like I feel like my palette is a little bit more expanded because of that. My mom and dad are both Jamaican. My dad's from Portland, my mom's from Kingston, and you know, my dad's very country, but he comes from like a big family, so he has like 11 siblings, one of 11, and he's older. He's born like in like the 1946, so very like just like a classic Jamaican man, but like has like that swagger. Like he would have like an all-white era wearing gold. He didn't come to the States until like the 80s when he was like in his 40s, so he retains like a lot of that like swagger, and like he's like from that like Jamaican, like classy kind of Jamaican, like he's very clean cut, like doesn't like smoke weed, you know. And my mom is like just like the nicest lady. Like she's the youngest and the only sister out of like 5 siblings, so her family as well are very like just like traditional. Like they came to America in the 70s when she was 14, so she has a lot more of that like kind of like American experience to her, but she's still like that classic Jamaican wife. Like makes my dad like plantains every morning, saltfish, like they grow bananas in the yard, like the whole yard, it's a jungle. So like, you know, I grew up very Jamaican. Like I didn't go to restaurants. I didn't have Olive Garden until I was like 25, you know, just shit like that. Like it's like very much like every party was always just like white rum, like, you know, like dance hall, like jerk pork, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just very much like I grew up Jamaican as fuck, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's just like a fun way to grow up, and it was in like the very nice Jamaican way, you know? I've been doing music like my whole life. I've always been just like around music and around people who love music. So like I had 2 older half brothers. They love hip hop. They were like promoters. They did their thing early 2000s. And like my sister, she played in bands and played trombone and stuff. So I was always like the little brother, and I watched everybody. And I wanted to play music from like as soon as I could remember. So I started playing trumpet when I was in like 3rd grade, and I always just wanted to perform and like be on stage. So yeah, like from there, like playing trumpet, I played in different bands, like, and then I played guitar in different bands, and then I learned after all of that kind of stopped, like I got a computer with like GarageBand, and I like started fucking around making beats. And when I outgrew that, I got into like Ableton and shit. So I've just kind of just constantly been building on top of like what I know, and just have always wanted to do it in some shape or form. So right now, this is like the avenue that I'm choosing, and like I just always want to be doing something in it. I think I just kind of had to learn how to take myself a bit more seriously with the like everything in a way, like where before it's like when I was rapping, my name was Young Tarzan back in the day, like I was doing it and I had confidence, but like in like I kind of feel like the wrong ways, and I like didn't know how to work on stuff. So I just like while I was doing it didn't feel as productive, and I gave up on that for a little bit and like got into being my career, my profession. But I just kind of realized that it wasn't truly like what I felt the most like myself doing. Like I wake up every day and I just would like get dressed in my office shit and I just not feel like I was doing me. So now that like I'm back in music, like I'm just so much happier, and life just keeps giving me all these opportunities, and like I just know that it's like what I should be doing. Yeah, I'm very aware of like trying to keep my mental health right, because for a while I really wasn't, and I think like I didn't realize how much I was trying to like drown out all of the ways I was thinking with like distractions and people and just kind of like partying and shit like that. So yeah, like to me it's like my mental health is all about kind of like just being real with myself and like real and present with my thoughts and not being distracted. And just by having like the desire and like talking to people about it, I would tell them like, talk to your friends and be real about like what is going on in your mind, so that they can like be a sounding board for you and tell you that like the way how you're thinking is kind of irrational and you need to just like go for it, because you're just getting in the way of yourself, like where it's like you get kind of like wrapped up in how hard it would be to do something, but then when you just actually do it, you realize that it's not that hard. So it's like sometimes the hardest step to take is just like getting started on something. I know that's how it is for me, like getting everything organized and getting set up and everything. So yeah, it's just like being real with yourself about that. Like I'm not saying like getting in the way of yourself, like that you're stopping it, but like just being aware that like okay, like I'm feeling this way and like I don't have to feel this way, you know what I mean? When I was in like middle school, like I was like, if you're playing trumpet, like what can you do to be in a band and play on stages like locally? And the scene back then in like 2006, 7, 8, 9 was like it was like ska and punk and shit. So I would go to like Backbone Music and like Ray's and like see all these like punk and ska bands, and it got to the point where like I was invited to play with them, and that was like when I was like 13, 14. So when I went to high school, like having that under my belt a little bit, I knew some of the older kids like as a freshman, and then they invited me to like play in their funk band that was also like a hip hop group too. And that was like a really big exposure to kind of like the scene down here, because they were hooked up with a lot of like the kids that were doing stuff in like the indie scene and having like these big house shows and stuff. So when I was young, I saw that and I saw like the possibilities behind that. And when I was like a senior in high school, we had like a psychedelic like rock band, and we did like a lot of house parties and shows and like doing like Facebook events where like the cops would come and like break up parties and shit like that. So I've always just kind of like been like involved in like the local scene since I was like a kid, and like have known people like that were way older than me who could like show me like what to do. So by the time like I started doing like Young Tarzan and shit, like all those older people, like they kind of like threw me a bone and like hooked it up and like let me use their studios and like record, and they like really put me on game. Like I knew what kind of gear I needed to get and like how I needed to like move and shit. But like I said, I was kind of like around like 2018, it was like the same year I graduated from college. I met my girlfriend and just like started working, and I just kind of like realized like I need to cut some of the bullshit out of my life. And I think like the main difference between like my last project, like Young Tarzan and TC Silk, is like just like a lot of maturity. Like the music that I kind of like, the lyrics and everything, like I'm not trying to be, it's just like I feel like I have a lot more like content and experience in life to talk about than what I did before, which was kind of like more braggadocious and stuff too. So yeah, like just like having that experience of all those different kinds of scenes, I think kind of helps my live show be a little bit different than what other people might be doing, because I don't just want to be a rapper, like I want to be a full-on performer. I just like, I'm starting to feel like I just see a lot of things happening, and I always have like had this belief in myself that I could do it, but now like I have like the knowledge on like what it takes, and like knowing that like it's all just kind of like a business and like being an entrepreneur. Like I think that it's just like the avenue where I feel the most comfortable and feel the most myself in. And I think that I'm doing something different that other people aren't doing, and I have a sound that other people aren't making. And so, and I'm not trying to like brag or be like some weird way, but I just think that because I have that, and because like I have lived in the city and know the people I know and can just do it, like it's the space that I should be in. And I just think that like I got to take it seriously and work hard at it, just like anything else, if I wanted to be what I want it to be. So I've just been really inspired, and just maybe it's getting older, maybe it's just kind of like realizing that life is like about being happy and just kind of about doing what you need to do, but it all kind of goes together, and that's why I'm taking it seriously, you know? Overdose on compliments, too strung out on confidence, stacking up accomplishments, smoking on exotic spliffs, tired of admonishment. You don't want no problems, bitch, counting up my Benjamins. I just need to pay my rent, asking God to give me grace, put these niggas in their place. Sometimes I just need my space. Life is nothing but a race. If you wanna make me mad, you can get up in my face. Understanding what's at stake, putting food upon my plate, working harder than a bitch, never ever been a snitch, manifest until I'm rich, Cashmere, Cancun, cannabis, manifested silver spoons in the mouth of all my kids, living life like Richie Rich, different than I ever did, save myself from sympathy, living, laughing, loving me, she go crazy in the sheets, feeling crazy in the seat, you don't wanna be like me, heard you wanna be like me, living, loving endlessly, I couldn't be more carefree, you don't wanna have no beef, you really a nobody, save myself from sympathy, living, laughing, loving me, I went crazy on this beat, she go crazy in the sheets, fuck with me, let's get complete, sun and snow and rain and sleet. I just think, you know, you look at all the stuff that's shared on like all like the Palm Beach, South Florida, like kind of like rap channels. It's all kind of like the similar kind of people and like similar kind of style where it's just kind of, you know, it's like hood kind of shit where not everyone can really relate to it in that way. And then it's also, it's either that or it's stuff that's like on the other end of the spectrum that's super conscious. And I'm like, I'm not hating on either one of those things. I just think that there is space for something kind of in between that like bends genres a little bit and offers something that like everyone can kind of like relate to in a different way, and it's a little bit more everyday and a little bit more just like, you know, like it's a side of Florida that exists too, and I think that it deserves to be represented. Like, you know, there are things that are, there's like an opulent side, there's like a bright side to it, and there's an irony to that too, and I think that I could kind of represent that. I felt like this project was just like me coming out as like me just being myself completely. Like it's a kind of like a vulnerable project all the way through, and I'm kind of just talking about like really just kind of like raw shit, like the things like love and patience and just like working and kind of just like trying to just make the most out of the life that I have, and like being grateful and manifesting and like all of that. So yeah, I called the EP Genuine Jamaican Silk because it's about just me returning to form completely, like just expressing this like pure side of myself and really putting myself out there, because, you know, both my parents are Jamaican, and I'm just trying to be just 100% true to form and expressing everything that I have to say in like this year that I've been producing and coming up with all this new music. So it started like maybe, I think I wrote like the first song, which was like Hold You Down, in like late 2022, and I had a bunch of demos that I put together, and I was just kind of like listening to them all the time, and I was showing them to my friends, and I was saying like, I used to perform, there's all these people that are in my life now that didn't know me back in the day, and I was like, I used to perform and all the time, and I was on stage and all this shit, and like, man, I miss it. Like, I think working is kind of this like, it's bullshit, and I'm not happy. And like one of my friends was just straight up like, bro, like stop talking about it and just go and do it. Like, it sounds good, like just go do it. Like, and I'm like, all right, you know what, you're right. Like, I really am not being a man of action right now. And that was like a kind of like a problem that I was just like dealing with in my life in general, was just kind of like talking about shit and not doing it. So this whole album was just like kind of me just like standing on that principle of just like being proud of being myself and ready to just be like genuine Jamaican Silk again, you know? Like, yeah. Yeah, I think when you listen to this, you're supposed to feel like reflective and introspective a little bit, and I want you to like just kind of think about like all the things in your life where you've told yourself no, or all the things where you haven't been patient, or just kind of like you just don't want to wait for it to happen, because like that first song, things just take time, like that's what it's all about. It's kind of just about just being patient, because like everything in life that is worth anything takes time. Like plants take time to grow, it takes time to like have good barbecue and like food and like everything. And like from that song to the last song, Hold You Down, like that's about being there for someone forever. And like even just like being like, you know, like you're working hard and you're doubting yourself and you're stressed, but like you still have that promise that you're like maintaining, and you want to like be there for someone. So that's what the album's about. Like I want people to get in that mode of like being positive, and like, but also, and like it's not about being positive in like the way where like nothing is bad, but like just accepting that and being able to move on too, you know? Yeah, I want to live my life making music and art and decisions that make me happy and that make me rich. Like I want to like share my thoughts with people in like a succinct way, and in a way that they can digest and hopefully like take something from it and grow. And like I want to continue growing and as an artist, you know, and just get better at what I do and better at conveying the things I want to. Yeah, I just want to be able to just like be me and make a living and get everything I want, and get everything I want for my friends and the people I love. And for the city too, for West Palm, because I want to put West Palm on really bad. Like I think that it's overlooked, and you know, I want to just kind of put on for the city in a way, because it's always supported me. So yeah. Yo, this is TC Silk, man, from West Palm Beach, Florida. Shout out to Respect the Vibe. Shout out Brute McCoy for putting me on with this man. You know, like I appreciate you. I appreciate the city of West Palm Beach, you know. And I'm just here to, you know, put on and like show everyone like that they can truly just like be them. And that's all it really takes.